Hello and welcome to Body Purpose for a new Kundalini Yoga Kriya named Kriya for Disease Resistance. Kundalini Yoga believes that to avoid persistent colds and illnesses, it is essential to keep our digestive system functioning well and to develop a strong metabolic balance. So this Kriya is said to develop these capacities as well as physical strength to build disease resistance. After this Kriya, we will practice a short pranayama or breath work named a 3-stroke breath for health, energy, and radiance. Okay, so as usual, I recommend you grab a pillow or a block to sit on. If you don't have any, a folded beach towel or bath towel will do. It is important to sit on an elevated surface to make sure that you sit on your sit bones, which are the 2 bones on each side of your butt, and not on your tailbone or lower spine, which would make your back round and your chest collapse forward. Okay, so unless you are uber flexible, I highly recommend you sit on an elevated surface. All right, also please grab a paperback book that you can place under your head when lying down. It shouldn't be too thick nor too thin, but at a thickness that will keep your neck relatively parallel to the ground when you are lying down. So that your head should not tilt back too much, shortening the back of the neck, nor should tilt forward, shortening your throat. Okay? All right, so let's get started. Sitting on your block or pillow or folded towel, feeling your sit bones, which are the 2 bones on each side of your butt that you can feel when sitting. Repeat to yourself, I choose not to tighten anywhere, or I choose to let go of any unnecessary tension. You can repeat that sentence throughout any movement. Allow your armpit to soften away from your head. Now bringing the right shoulder towards the right ear, roll it back and release down. Your elbow may bend or may not. And now the left shoulder up to the left ear and letting it go. Once again, I choose not to tighten anywhere. Inhale, exhale. Now bringing your right ear towards your right shoulder and then back to center. And left ear towards the left shoulder, back to center. Once again, right ear to right shoulder, center, and left ear, left shoulder. Those exercises are just mindful movements that help us connect with our body and tuning in our practice. And back to center. Let's continue with our head movement. Now think about moving your head not from the neck, but from that spot behind your head that is at the level of your ears. Actually, even a little higher, maybe an inch higher. This is where really you want to move your head from. Now turning your head to your right, so looking right, and then back to center, and then to your left, and back to center. Once again, moving your head from the back of your head at the level of your ears, or slightly higher, pretty much where my ponytail is. This is where the joint is. The neck is not a joint. Moving from your neck may create unnecessary tension. And back to the left. And center. Taking a deep inhale, remember, I choose not to tighten anywhere. Noticing any tension you may not have noticed before and allowing it to dissolve down into the ground. Now let's do some arm movements. Moving from the armpit, lifting the right arm and releasing the arm down. Soften at the armpit And then lift the left arm up and releasing it down. Also, you can imagine strings at the tip of your fingers that help you move both arms this time and all the way up, allowing the armpits to soften away from the head and away from the hip joints, and releasing both arms down. Now let's do the same, but open out to the side, lifting from the armpits, softening at the armpits, and lowering the arms down. Very nice. Deep inhale, deep exhale. I choose not to tighten anywhere. Noticing any tension without judging, and allowing those to cascade down from the crown of your head to the sit. Moving into a different position, we're going to sit on our knees, and I would once again highly recommend that you put your pillow or block or a towel in between your legs so you get a little lift. Inhale, exhale. I choose not to tighten anywhere. As you allow any unnecessary tension to melt down into the ground through your sit bones, release at the armpits, as in softening, and bring your arms up. If it's available to you, bring your hands together. And for this exercise, we are going to do some pumping of the stomach. Inhale, suspend the breath, and pump the stomach for as long as you can. So bringing the navel towards the spine gently, and then relaxing it again as you exhale. Then inhale and begin again. We're in this for 1 minute. So once again, inhale, gentle pumps of the stomach until you need to exhale, exhale, release. I'll let you go at your own pace. Always remember, I choose not to tighten anywhere. Allowing any unnecessary tension to cascade down from the tip of your fingers all the way through your hands, wrists, elbows, arms, armpits, back, hips, sit bones into the ground, allowing the ground to support you in return. This exercise is said to stimulate digestion and the Kundalini energy in the third chakra. And bringing your arms down. Deep inhale, exhale. Next is bear grip. This time you're going to bring your hands together and you're going to grasp your fingers together with the forearms parallel to the ground. While you inhale, you suspend the breath without separating the hands, and you're trying to pull the hands apart. Exhale. Inhale and pull again. Continue for 1 minute. This exercise is said to open the heart center. Remember, I choose not to tighten anywhere, allowing the armpits to soften, which should keep your shoulders down. Once again, on the inhale, suspend the breath. Try to pull the hands apart without separating the hands. And on the exhale, release. I choose not to tighten anywhere. And release both arms down. Well done. Next is sitting bends. Staying in the same your heels. You're going to clasp your fingers together and bring them interlocked behind your neck. Inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to bend forward, touching your forehead to the ground if it's available to you. And inhale, sit up again. So inhale, sitting up. Exhale, bringing the forehead towards the ground. Allowing the armpits to soften. Allowing the hip joints to soften as well. The hip joints are where the torso and legs meet, and where there is a crease on each side of the pubic bone when you have your knees bent, just as in this position. Keep breathing. Inhale as you come up, exhale as you bring your head down. Reminding yourself, I choose not to tighten anywhere. Letting your body notice any unnecessary tension and allowing it to dissolve down into the ground through your legs. Inhale, exhale. Now, moving on to front stretch. This time we're going to sit with our legs extended in front of you. Now the exercise calls to have the legs straight, but I do not want to compromise my head, neck, torso alignment, and therefore I am bending my legs. You can also grasp the toes with your fingers, or simply place them on your chin or thighs. And exhale, softening at the hip joints. Once again, this is where the leg and torso meet. Staying in this position. I choose not to tighten anywhere, allowing any unnecessary tension to melt down into the ground. Deep exhale. And inhale. This position is said to allow the body to deeply relax, and I agree, as long as we don't force it. It's not available to everyone to be able to extend the legs while grasping the toes and keeping a nice neck, head, torso alignment. And release. Moving on now to neck rolls in a seated position, an easy pose. So grab your towel, block, or pillow. And remember what we talked about at the very beginning of this session when we were doing some warm-up and tuning in exercises, where we move our head from. So for neck roll, we're going to start by rolling the neck in a clockwise position, bringing the right ear to the right shoulder, and then bringing it back, and left ear to the left shoulder, and then chin towards the front. Once again, remember, we're moving our head from that spot behind our ears, or more specifically, where my ponytail is, so slightly above the ear level. Keeping working the clockwise position. I choose not to tighten anywhere. Allowing the armpits to soften. And now switching sides. So we start with the left ear to the left shoulder, towards the back, right, center. allowing our hip joints to soften and release away from the armpits and armpits away from the hip joints. Once again, moving the head from the neck part of the spine, which is that spot behind your head at the level of the ears or slightly above. Bringing the head back to center. Moving on to cat-cow, come on all fours with your wrists directly under your shoulders and your knees directly under your hips. From the neutral position, you're going to soften at the armpits, soften at the hip joints, and your back will naturally arch. Now push the floor with your hands and your knees and allow your back to round away from the mat. And it's an inhale as you arch and exhale as you round. Now really think of the arching and the rounding coming from the releasing at the joints, the armpits, the hip joints, and the rounding coming from the fact that you're pressing your hands into the ground and your knees so that it helps you round your back. Inhale as you arch, exhale as you round. I like to go slowly, but you can increase the speed once you feel like you have it. This is a good exercise here again for digestive energy, according to Kundalini Yoga. Pressing the ground to support you round, softening at the hip joints and under the armpits to arch, and coming into a child's pose. Deep inhale, exhale. Now bring your hands by your knees and press the floor, and then come into seated position. From the sitting position, inhale, exhale. Remind yourself, I choose not to tighten anywhere, allowing any unnecessary tension to cascade down from the crown of your head, through your body, through your sit bones into the ground. Release your arms by your side, and then let's roll one shoulder at a time. The right first and the left second. Now keep your hands loose by your side. Now we're going to do shoulder shrugs. On the inhale, lift the left shoulder, and on the exhale, the right. Remember, on the inhale, the left shoulder lift, and on the exhale, the right shoulder lift. Inhale left, exhale right, and it's a lift. Rhythmic breathing. Both shoulders, inhale, exhale, release. Taking a few moments now to take an inhale, exhale in seated position. I choose not to tighten anywhere. And moving now into the corpse pose for a deep relaxation. So we are going to lie down onto the ground, and remember that paperback book I was telling you about at the beginning of this practice? Well, this is when you will need it, so please put it behind your head. And then you can also place that block or pillow or towel under your knees so that you can get your lower back nicely anchored onto the ground. Make sure that that paper book, you place it not directly under your neck, but higher. You remember that point that I mentioned that is behind your head, on the opposite side of your ears at that level. This is where you want that book to be, so that you can slide your hands under your neck. Taking a deep inhale, exhale. I choose not to tighten anywhere. Noticing any tension you may not have noticed before. And allowing that tension to melt down into the ground through your supports, which are your head, shoulders, back, glutes, ankles and feet. And we're in this position for about 5 minutes, so enjoy it. Now bringing your feet onto the ground, allowing your knees to drop onto one side, and then bringing your hands onto the ground, pushing the ground away with your hands. Come into all fours, bring the right foot forward, and then pressing the ground with that foot and coming into a standing position. Now we are heading towards a triangle pose for 2.5 minutes, also known as downward facing dog. So come onto your knees to start. Curl your toes under and send your hands into the ground into a triangle pose. Now if it's not available to you, please stay in a child's position, which is simply with your knees onto the ground like we did a little earlier. Now, in this triangle pose position, soften at the hip joints. You remember what I told you? The hip joints are where the torso and leg meet, which is on each side of the pubic bone. It's what makes a little crease when you bend your knees. And as you can see, my knees are not extended, and my heels don't even touch the ground. But you can see I have a good head, neck, torso alignment, because I am softening at the hip joints, and that means that automatically my sit bones are towards the ceiling. Sending your hands into the ground, allowing the ground to support you in return. And don't forget, I choose not to tighten anywhere. If you feel like you're building any unnecessary tension, come down onto your knees for child's pose. Otherwise, keep breathing. Softening at the armpits, softening at the hip joints. It's very, very important. You will notice that your body will align automatically without any further instructions. Soften at the hip joints, soften at the back of the knees, soften at the front of the ankle. You're almost there and doing great. Keep breathing. Soften at the armpits, sending your hands into the ground, sending your toes into the ground. And walking back, walking your hands towards your feet, sending your feet onto the ground. Softening at the hip joints as you send your feet onto the ground. You're using that to come back up into a standing position. Now moving on to elephant walk. So for elephant walk, the instructions are to reach down and grab the ankle. Now once again, it may be a little tricky to do that and keep your legs straight. So I would recommend you keep your knees slightly bent. Allow the back of the knee to soften, the front of the ankle to soften, and most importantly the hip joints, and walk around the room in this position. Once again, if this is too challenging, you can stop. I mean, if you feel like you're creating tension, you can stop. Softening at the hip joints. That's the most important part here. And you don't have to lock your knees. Keep walking if you can. Once again, this exercise is said to be good for digestion. All right, and monkey position. Relax. Release at the hip joints, back of the knee, front of the ankle, sending your feet into the ground. Come back into standing. Congratulations, you've made it through the Kriya. Now let's move on to this meditation, which is a 3-stroke breath for health and radiance. So let's get started. In a seated position. Taking a deep inhale, exhale. I choose not to tighten anywhere. Filling your sit bones. Making sure you allow any unnecessary tension that you may have noticed to cascade down from the crown of your head through your entire body and through your sit bones down into the earth. For this meditation, we're going to clasp our hands together. Fingers are not interlaced. Only the thumbs are locked or on top of each other. And we're going to hold our hands at the heart center, allowing the armpits to release, to soften down. That will automatically allow your shoulders to release down, but really think more of releasing at the armpit, as I've mentioned before. From there, we're going to take 3 inhale through the mouth, 1 inhale per second, and 1 exhale through the nose. So it's, okay, 3 seconds in with the mouth, 1 second out through the nose. As we do so, we're going to clasp our hands together. So we're going to gently tighten our hands as we inhale, not on the exhale, only on the inhale. So it goes. Exhale, keep your hands clasp together, but don't tighten them. So each time you inhale, you're tightening your hands a little further. On the exhale, you're releasing them. Okay? And we're going to do this for 3 minutes, and our eyes are closed. Let's get started. One more minute to go. Inhale, suspend the breath. Exhale powerfully through the mouth. 2 more rounds. Inhale, suspend the breath. Hold the hands, tighten them. One last time. Inhale. Count and breath out through the mouth. Excellent. Release your hands. Take a deep inhale. Exhale. Bringing our hands together at the heart center. Rubbing our hands together. Centering them. front of your chest, palms are together. We're going to conclude this practice with a long Satnam. Take a deep inhale to begin. Sa. No. Inhale. Exhale. Release the hands down. Good. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Kriya and meditation. If you did, please do not hesitate to like it, thumb it up, share it with your friends, with families, or anyone you think would be interested in this practice, and subscribe to BodyPurpose channel. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.